Hey, everybody, and welcome to Generally Speaking, the podcast that bridges the world between pop culture and personal development. I am your host, Jennifer Snook, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. I hope everything has been going really well in your world. Here is what's been going on with mine. And trust me, there is a lot right now. But before we get into it, if you're watching this on YouTube, can you do me a favor and hit that subscribe button because we are really trying to grow our community over there. Thank you. That is great. We love that. Anyway, you guys, so I got my blood tests back and they had done a test for mold, which I've had this test done many times. And my numbers, my mold numbers are so off the charts that it's like literally my numbers are at the level that correlate with bleeding stomach and death. Like there's all these, you know, if your numbers are like from here to here, then you have these symptoms. If they're from here to here, then you have these symptoms. And I'm at the very highest mark. I'm like, it's basically a miracle that I'm still alive. And that's no shit. So the test is called, the Human Transforming Growth Beta number. And you guys, your numbers, well, I mean, firstly, you guys, you're never supposed to have really any mold in your body, but you're definitely not supposed to have over 2,100. You guys, I have like over 20,000. It's like 20,150, I think it came back at. So firstly, you're not supposed to have any mold. And if you do, it should definitely not be above like that 2,000 mark. And I'm over the 20,000 mark. So it's really no wonder I've been feeling like such shit, to be honest. And I've had these numbers for a number of years now. The doctors have had me on elimination diets. I've cut things, you know what I mean, out of my diet. I've gone on supplement protocols where they introduce like binders and things like that to help pull the mold out of your body, and nothing seems to help. I don't know. I can't get rid of this mold. It's ridiculous. It's so frustrating. And on top of that, we are currently in a war with our landlord. And I mean, I'm going to spare you guys all the gory details, but suffice it to say that part of the reason is because of the mold and the state that he has maintained and kept this house, and it is horrible. But the most horrible part is what happened just like last week. We found some papers. Get this, we found some papers at the bottom of our mailbox, and they were from the landlord, or not the landlord, but they were papers, like court papers that the landlord had filed or something. They looked like official papers, right? But they were at the bottom of the mailbox. So we called down to the court, and the court says that we have been served. Oh, it says here that you have been served. And we're like, served? We have not been served. We know we have not been served. No one served us. So we tell them that. They look into it a little bit more, and they says here that a co-occupant of your home named, what is her name again? Angie, I think Angie Davies. I think that was the name. Angie Davies. And firstly, I've only ever known one Angie in my life. I went to elementary school with her. I've never known a Davies. No one here knows a Davies. We've never known anyone by this name at all. Not only that, we've never had a co-occupant in our house. We've never had a roommate of any kind. So, and on the day that it says that this person, this Angie Davies, accepted this "you've been served" situation, we were home. So it was ludicrous. But the reason why he's doing that is because if the court thinks that we've been served and we don't respond, then we're automatically found in default, right? And so then he automatically wins, and he gets to evict us without being held responsible for all of the things that are wrong with this house and how well, you guys, it's if I got into it, over a year ago, he made my house completely unlivable. We've been without heat for months. I don't even know how many months now. It's anyway, it's not fun. Let's see what else. What else? Let's see. Oh, you guys, on a happier note, you are going to get to meet my family soon. You're definitely going to get to meet my girls, and probably my mom and maybe my brothers and my sister-in-law. Maybe you might even get my adorable little nephews. But you'll definitely get my girls because we are going to do a family pod when we are in Austin together at the end of May. So look forward to that. That's going to be fun. We're going to play a couple games and, do some Q&As and let them ask me some questions. I'm going to ask them some questions. So it'll be a really cute, fun way for you guys to get to know us a little better. Anyway, I'm not done. Here it is. This is my current charge. There's really not a lot, you guys, that fires me up just at this point in my life. I'm just kind of at such a peaceful place that really not a lot really rocks me. But you know what has really been getting my goat? And I need to have this conversation with basically the entire state of California, the United States, quite frankly. I'm not sure how it works in other countries, but I know in this country and in this state, and I know in Los Angeles that this is the way it's supposed to be, but it doesn't seem like anyone else does. I swear to you, people have their heads so far up their asses when it comes to this. So guys, when you are driving and you hear a siren, that signifies a fucking emergency, right? It's not just like a fucking lullaby that they're blasting. They're not trying to lull us to sleep. They're trying to tell you that there is an emergency and they need to fucking get to it. I do not know what the hell is wrong with the drivers around here. They hear a siren and they don't give a shit. When you hear a siren, it doesn't matter where it's coming from, ladies and gentlemen, and whoever else is watching and or listening. It is your duty to pull over to the right as soon as possible because you need to create a clearing so that those emergency personnel people can get to where they're going, right? Because there's people on the other side that are eagerly awaiting their arrival and needing them to get there as soon as possible. So when you hear, I'm not going to get too fired up about this, but when you hear a siren, pull over. Pull the fuck over. Just pull over to the right. Everyone pulls over to the right to create space. And the reason that we pull over to the right and create space is because if we were the people on the other side, that's what we would want people to be doing for us. We would want people to be creating space so those emergency vehicles could get to your family member, to your loved one, to your sister or brother or child or partner or whomever. Whoever you care about in love deserves to have the fire truck or the ambulance or the cops get there as soon as possible. So do for others what you would want them to do for you. And it's in times like that where you can do that and create good karma for yourself. Pull over, lead by example. Think about it. Think about it. Fuck, man, if they were coming for my sister, wouldn't I want someone to get the fuck out of the way? Because I'll tell you, if I knew there was an emergency vehicle coming for one of my family members and someone did not get out of their way, I would go at their throat. They would be, if something happened to them, I would call them guilty for standing in the way of help. It's just absolute bullshit. So do your fucking social duty and get the hell out of the way. Do everyone a favor and pull to the right. Okay, you guys, that is everything that's happening in my world. Let me find my glasses. I'm so blind, it's pathetic. Okay, you guys, we are about to get into all of the happenings that went down on Bravo this week. But before I dive into Bravo, I need to really just talk about it. And even if it's just for a minute, I need to talk about um, Seeking Sister Wife. I have to, because Garricky, do you guys know Garricky? He is like, I have a very close connection to Brazil. My grandmother was born in Brazil. She lived there for the first 20 years of her life until my grandfather, who was in the Navy, went and saw her and they fell in love and he brought her back to the States. But I have a ton of cousins in Brazil. And so I mean, I'm almost to the point where I'm waiting for one of them to show up on Garricky's arm. But I mean, do we need to, post warning pictures in Brazil? Because do you guys see him? I can't take my eyes off him. He is truthfully one of the strangest, oddest characters I have ever watched, encountered, or anything. But he's fucking riveting. It's like, is he putting a spell on these women? I'm telling you, there's got to be like some odorless, colorless, I don't know, scent that he is emitting, because it's wild the way these women sign up for his kind of craziness. Almost like the other guy who has the three wives, the three blonde wives, and he stays home and learns stuff on the TV. Just that's basically his job. And now he's a dad, and as he stays home, he learns things and watches the baby now, and he wears a suit and tie because he takes this job very seriously. He's a stay-at-home dad, and he is dressed up to the nines because he takes his role seriously. And good for him, quite frankly. Okay, now to Bravo, everybody. Let's just run through it because it was a lot. Okay, over in Potomac, Candace and Chris finally pregnant. And now it really makes sense why she was so willing to walk away from the show after the reunion, because she knew that she was dealing with something much bigger than that. Robin, oh, here's my other thing about Candace, though. She'll be back. Candace will definitely be back, mark my words. Robin Dixon has finally been fired, which really isn't a surprise given how little her and Juan and their family shared this season. NECA has apparently been let go because, well, I mean, boring. Sweet, really sweet, but boring. Over in Beverly Hills, Crystal has been cut because she's Crystal, the passive-aggressive princess who is not a victim, but she plays one in real life. It's a lot. And word on the street is that she's devastated by what's transpired. First world problems and all. Down in Miami, Teresa's blonde twin, Alexio, was blindsided by her husband, who wants the big D. And by D, I mean divorce. Over in the OC, that Guido the pimp looking guy, Ryan, proposed to Jen, and I would like to say that it's because he's, madly in love with her and not because he's in desperate need of a storyline if he wants to stay on the show. But unfortunately, I can't say that because good luck to them. I'm just gonna wish them well. And last but not least, everybody, Andy speaks. Mr. Andy Cohen speaks on New Jersey and doubles down on the fact that New Jersey, as it stands, just is not sustainable. And I mean, didn't we all see that coming? Andy said that while they got through the season and created a good show, having two camps is not what this show is all about. And no, it's not. It's not at all. So it seems to me like that's just fair warning that those guys really need to get their shit together or they're going to be gone. And not for nothing, but it seems to me like the first target would be Teresa. I mean, the first one to go. They may just get rid of everybody, but they would have to get rid of Teresa, right? Because she's the one that drove all the division. I mean, it was Teresa who said, well, do you remember Teresa was trying to, at first, make it out like Melissa wasn't even going to be coming back. Like she was going to have the power and authority to keep Melissa off the show, which clearly. Then it became clear that she knew that she wasn't going to be able to do that. And then she said, well, if she stays, I'm just not going to engage. And apparently she hasn't. So Melissa didn't. And there has been no engagement, hence the two separate camps. And that's not what this is about. And I'm really glad that Bravo is finally ready to flex their muscle and say, you know, you guys aren't in charge. Just bottom fucking line. You're not in charge. I don't know what Teresa will do, quite frankly, if she does leave the show, because I mean, there's only so many like celebrity big brothers or traders that she could do before she runs out of, you know, competition shows that she could participate in. But I mean, well, she does have Louis, you guys. Thank God she's got Louis, and Louis's got a new job, and we'll see how long this one lasts. We'll see how long this one lasts. Okay, everybody, it is time for reality check. So on the latest episode of Southern Charm, West was back, and I can't tell you how happy I was about it. I love that guy. I love him and Sierra. He drove Sierra and Paige out to the house, and they have just such a sweet energy amongst them. They are like, I love it. I just cannot get enough of the two of them. First night out, everybody goes out. They're all having a blast. And while they're out at the club, Lindsay questions West about his intentions with Sierra. And the way he responded was just so beautiful and so respectful. He said, like, basically, I'm fully into it, but she's got really big things popping off in her life. And she does, because she had just signed that modeling contract. And so he's trying to express his interest without making his, you know, interest overshadow the fact that she's gonna be busy and she's gonna have priorities other than him. And I think he just doesn't want to overstep. And I think that is a testament to what a fucking fantastic guy he is. Then in another corner, you've got Kyle, Danielle, and Paige having a conversation about Craig and whether or not they think that, you know, just basically the dynamic about Craig and Paige getting married, and Kyle says that he noticed that with Craig, he thought that maybe he was getting a little discouraged. Paige said, listen, I don't worry about it because I know I'm going to marry this guy. I just also know that I'm going to be doing it on my own terms. And then when she said that, ding-a-ling Danielle, who drives me absolutely nuts, says, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just gonna, you know, like tell you what it is. And what did she say exactly? She says, I think you have his balls on a platter. And you can just see Paige just like clocking it, but not reacting. But you could see like behind her eyes, she's going, did you just really say that? She told him she thinks that she has his balls on a platter. Hold on. Oh, and that she is giving him nothing. She thinks that she has his balls on a platter and you are giving him nothing. Nothing. And I would just like to say, I know that Paige got annoyed by it, but truthfully, this is one of those instances where you really have to consider the source. And quite frankly, Danielle is the last person that I would ever in a million years take relationship advice from, or really, quite frankly, any type of advice from. She is the worst. And everyone wakes up hungover, and around the breakfast table, Lindsay mentions that she invited Balloon Guy Joe to the alien party that they're planning on having later that night. Lindsay assures the girls that he's hot, and even West agrees. Then while they're out by the pool, West brings up sex to Amanda and Paige. And basically, he's just kind of gauging them about, you know, how they were in relationships, because he doesn't know exactly how to handle this Sierra situation, because I think he's so invested that he doesn't want to misstep. So he's asking asking her friends for advice, and I think they received it well. I thought it was hilarious. Amanda, I became just an absolute balls to the wall Amanda fan after she goes, well, I never gave it up on the first date. I had to be like at least one or two dates. It wasn't just first night and you get to put your ding dong in my jukebox. And I just laughed my fucking ass off. Jukebox, you guys. I've heard a lot of things, but I've never heard a cooch be called a jukebox. But I love it. I gotta say, I fucking love it. I'm so here for it. Um, let's see what else. Oh, at the same time that they're talking about, how long it should take, one, two, three dates before they, do the deed. You've got over on the other side of the yard, Carl and Danielle having a chat. They are kind of reconnecting. And he tells her that he's considering partnering again with Kyle to sell these non-alcoholic lover boys. And he is also very nervous, and he's talking to her about how he's very nervous to bring this, topic up to Lindsay because of everything that happened last year when he was working with Loverboy. Then they start setting up for the big party, for the alien party, and Balloon Guy Joe shows up, and both Gabby and Danielle start drooling over the dude. And I mean, he's a cute guy. The jeans, I was not into the jeans. I was not into the jeans at all. But Danielle goes in hard after him. Like, I mean, she always does. That's how she does. And it's not cute. And then the rest of the girls get Gabby all juiced up to go over there and run interference. And I was cheering the whole way. Then Paige told Amanda about what an asshole Danielle was to her the night before in what she said about her relationship with Craig. And Paige opened her mouth and said, I'm actually relating and understanding why Lindsay said the shit that she said about Danielle last year. And now Paige is and kind of getting that same feeling where Danielle is just fully overstepping, because that's what Danielle does, oversteps. Meanwhile, she can't even get her own life worked out, but she's constantly trying to micromanage everybody else's. That's how you know your life is fucked, you guys. Truthfully, it's a really good indicator. When I was at my very lowest point, that's when I became the most judgmental, the most just kind of controlling. I was trying to control everything externally because I couldn't control what was going on the inside. And it's a huge indicator. Anyway, moving over to Potomac, you guys, G came forward and admitted that he is bipolar. And he said that he knows that his bipolar behavior is much of what pushed his wife away. He also goes on to say that he's cordial with the new guy Inc., or the new guy, but not so new guy. You know what I mean? And he also said that things are much better with him and his siblings. Then they dive into the whole North Potomac of it all instead of Central Potomac. They talk about the fact that NECA lives in North Potomac, but the Grand Dame lives in Central Potomac. So if you're ever moving to Potomac, make sure you know where you land. God forbid you live in North Potomac. Then they move on to the shrine, the talk about all that shrine talk, you guys. Do you remember that? Andy prefaces it all by saying that they understand how culturally sensitive of an issue it is. He says that he wished it was a story they didn't have to tell, but that it was the real life dynamics that were happening between the two at the time. Andy also said that production had no knowledge of the alleged shrine call prior to filming, and that production originally had wanted NECA to come onto the show through Wendy because they had mutual friends and it made sense. And I kind of do think that it made sense. Production asked Wendy if she knew NECA, and Wendy said no. And then NECA came back and said, that's not true. We have met. And so basically Wendy is saying, I don't know her, like I don't know her well, like to fully know someone. Meanwhile, Nneka is interpreting having met someone as knowing that one, knowing someone. And I kind of get that. And especially because I think that they had met more than once. I don't quote me on that, but I think they met more than once. The producers thought that she would love to have another Nigerian on the show. Um, and I mean, they're not just Nigerian, but they're from the same Igbo tribe. So you can understand why the producers would think that that Wendy would love that, to have, someone that she could relate to in that way on the show. But here's the truth about Wendy. She is a competitive, jealous person, and she is not willing or wanting to share the spotlight with anyone, let alone another Nigerian from the Igbo tribe. She wants to be the only one. She wants to hold that crown. I mean, she especially doesn't want to share this title with someone as accomplished as Nneka. She isn't. She's not that evolved. She's not. She wants it all for herself. She's not full enough inside to be able to share it. For Wendy, there's not enough to go around for everybody. There's just enough for her. Let's see. Then they bring Kiarna on to talk about the fight that she found herself in at the GNA fashion show. And I like Kiarna. I hope they bring her back next season. I could fully see her being a proper cast member. Then they turn the show to Wendy, where she had to finally admit that hosting a talk show is not as easy as she thought it was going to be. But she does go on to say that Happy Eddie is going well, and that her and Eddie are indeed very, very happy. And I'm sure they are. If you heard Eddie, I don't remember what it is, so I don't want to quote it, but it's like 2 million they did maybe in a month, or I don't know. It was doing very, very well. And I'm so happy for them. I mean, here's to marijuana. I mean, it's a gift, and that's a fact. Then Ashley has to admit that all this time later, you guys, and she's still not divorced from Michael, and that she actually charged her latest set of boobies on his credit card. Then talk turns back to the fight, and Candace is just unable to take any accountability for her part in the whole thing. She says, oh, what I said were just words, and just can't even understand how those words may have, sparked the situation. And while words don't always and shouldn't be given all of that power, sometimes they do. That is why it is always best to just not say them. I mean, if they could be taken as inflammatory, just why say them, right? If you're trying to keep the peace, you wouldn't, right? They don't have to set things off, but if you're trying to keep the peace, then you would just err on the side of caution, right? But the truth is, Candace never errs on the side of caution. Actually, I think she probably is right now, and that's why she's walking away from the show, because she's being cautious, because now she is carrying a child, and that is literally the first time that she has ever erred on that side. Let's see. Okay, let's move on over to, hold on. Oh, well, the last thing basically on Potomac was just that they came at Ashley a little bit because of the fact that she's the one that invited Deborah to the event. But Ashley made it very clear that she had no idea that Deborah was holding this, such a heavy grudge. And she did say, though, that she was under the impression that Deborah just wanted to clear the air, and that, clear the air with good intent, not to end up in this knockdown, drag out fight. Ashley said that she never dreamed that things would go down the way they did. And, you know, I think the jury was out for some people on whether or not they believe that. But I mean, honestly, you guys, why would she want to ruin her own event? Of course she wouldn't. This was a huge launch for them. Why would she be sabotaging herself like that? Okay, now over to Vanderpump Rules. We are talking pin the sperm on the vagina. Who's your daddy? I mean, this was a lot this episode. This was a pretty heavy episode. Let's see. Sheena was busy resurrecting or trying to resurrect Good as Gold. Lala was picking out her potential baby daddy, which I mean, I don't know how it gets much heavier than that. And then this was the episode, you guys, where Rachel went rogue and everybody else was sent reeling by what she said. I mean, everybody. It was top of mind for everybody. Meanwhile, it was, it had Tom Sandoval in a fucking pile of tears in the middle of a nervous breakdown, basically the entire episode. Rachel on her podcast said that her and Ariana really weren't that tight, that they really weren't as good as friends as the show portrayed. And then meanwhile, the show cuts back. Sorry, my hair is just, I really need a haircut. Then they cut back to her talking about what a wonderful friend Ariana is and how these are her core friends and how these are her forever friends. And she just goes on and on and on about how wonderful they are, right? And then she also, in the episode, in her Rachel Goes Rogue episode, says that she was never in love with Tom. So once again, they cut back to her in confessional, or no, not in confessional, sorry, at the reunion, looking Andy straight in the face, saying that this was just so hard because she was so deeply in love with Tom. I mean, talk about rewriting history. That poor girl, though, I have to say, it is very difficult for me to listen to a Namaste Bitches podcast because Teresa is just so limited. Do you know what I mean? She's just so limited, and listening to that co-host try to make sense of her and trying to make her sound like she makes sense is painful. But I watch it because during Namaste Bitches, Teresa is constantly telling on herself. She's so limited that she doesn't even realize what she's saying. And she doesn't realize that, I mean, like she's constantly just telling on herself. And I mean, just showing her ass constantly. So I watch that to get juice on Teresa because she spills it constantly. However, on the Rachel Goes Rogue podcast, I can't listen. It's that bad. There is absolutely nothing redeeming about it because she is, talk about limited. I mean, her and Teresa should hold hands and go somewhere special together because it's something. But Rachel Goes Rogue is anyway, but I will say it had a huge effect on the cast of Vanderpump Rules this week. James got a little boost. He loved telling Sandoval, what she said on the podcast is that she was really not over me yet, and that's the problem. She was really not over me. It's not that she was in love with you. She just wasn't over me. And he loved saying that. He loved rubbing that in. And I mean, this is James Kennedy. That's the case. Let's see what else. Oh, Tom's reaction, you could tell, was so visceral. I mean, his lip was trembling. This is so real for Tom Sandoval, you guys. He was, and it's very clear that he was fully in love with her. There is no way this is acting. There is no, I mean, sorry, I don't even think Ryan Gosling, who I think is a magnificent actor, could, I mean, just the twitches in his face. I mean, he's a wreck. The guy is fucked up by it. And it's very clear that up until this point, he was really still hoping for his happily ever after with Rachel. But he clearly did not get that. He was also hoping to keep that house, but at this point, he's not sure that he can afford it. He says that now that he's going to have to refinance it to buy Ariana out, that, you know, the price, the monthly outgoing is going to be probably more than he could, you know, afford. And so he offers Schwartzy a residency, basically. He offers to have him move in, and Schwartz says, how much, you guys? $6,000. $6,000 to be his roommate. And hello, $6,000, you guys, half the house. It is in a really nice place, though. I know exactly where it is, and it is in a really nice place in the valley. And I don't know, $6,000 is a lot to still have a roommate, right? Then all the girls and the guy and a couple guys went up to Villa Rosa. And it was at Villa Rosa at this, you know, who's your daddy party. Who's your daddy? I mean, can you even believe that you can do this today? That you can literally just hold up, you know, profiles of different sperm donors and just get to choose. Okay, I'd like that guy to father my child. I mean, it's such a huge decision. I mean, I was sitting there just thinking, I don't even know how you go into a day like that. I mean, it's fucking huge. I mean, huge. I don't even know if I could do it, quite frankly. I don't know if I could do it. I do know that when she read the one about what was that? What was that? I don't know what that was. When she read that one about the accountant, I was like, no accountants. So maybe I would be able to do it because I know what I wouldn't want. No offense to accountants, but I think I would just want, I don't know. I don't know. No accountants. No accountants. I'm sticking by it. So they go to Villa Rosa to choose the baby daddy. They play a game of pin the sperm on the vagina. And I mean, cute concept, but I thought it was strange that they were actually all aiming for the uterus. I mean, did you guys see that? That was not the vagina. I mean, know your anatomy, for the love of God. So at the party, though, Allie poked the bear, and by bear, I mean Katie, because she said to Katie, so what was going on with you and Lala at that last time you guys were out? And she goes, oh, you know, she goes, because I heard, I guess that you were miserable, and hold on, let me read it. I don't want to get it wrong. She asked about what was going on with her and Katie, and then repeated to Katie what Lala mentioned about her being miserable and easily angered, which of course did not go over well with Katie because she's Katie. But she kept it together, of course, because she was at Villa Rosa. And you know, there's a proper way to behave at Villa Rosa, and even she knows that. So then they play the pin the sperm on the vagina, which, like we said, looked actually like a uterus. And then Lala starts reading off these guys. She starts reading off their stats, what they like, what they dislike, what they studied, how tall they are, everything that you might want to know. Well, maybe there could be other things you might want to know, but the things that they were privy to, and she reads them off. Everybody votes, and then the daddy is decided, you guys. It's just easy as that. And that is how Lala chose her baby daddy. And I mean, cheers to her. And if you haven't heard, it's going to be a girl, which, you know, God knows I love a girl. Okay, over to the valley, you guys. Firstly, I would like to know what in God's name was happening with Brittany's boobs. Did you guys see that? What was the bruising all over Britney's boobs? It was the first thing I saw. She was in that Purple Rain outfit, which I just have to say, for someone who spends a lot of time in Malibu, just did not seem like a very Malibu outfit to me at all. Malibu is not that, I don't know. It shouldn't matter what Malibu is. She should be wearing what she feels comfortable in, so that's great. But it just wasn't very Malibu. Malibu is way more casual. I mean, she looked like she was going to have a cocktail in, I don't know, downtown or something, but not dinner with the girls in Malibu. But whatever. But more than the outfit was and also, if you don't want people to see your bruised boobie, why is your boob out to begin with? And why isn't she wearing something that covered up? I'm sure everybody else is wondering about this bruised up boob too. Um, so the show opens with those bruised boobies, her getting ready for that girls' night in Malibu. And then she walks downstairs, talks about how she's got all of her stuff and she's got her tequila. And Jax is clearly annoyed by it. Like he's clearly annoyed by her drinking. But she says goodbye to him. He doesn't seem like he's going to miss her. He just talks about, all he does. Gonna sits there plumbing the fucking sink, like, because it's a hard knock life for Jax, everybody. Then over at the beach, Nia talks about her postpartum, and I think that was really brave of her to go into on camera, because that's not easy to talk about, especially when it's happening and when you're first navigating that. First time you go through something like that, it really is confusing. You've never felt like that before, and it feels like there's just this uninvited storm inside of your body. I like Nia did not have. Also, is her name Nia or Mia? I think Nia. Anyway, we're going with Nia, you guys. But I did not have postpartum with my Carly at all. It was so easy after she was born. It was just her and I. We would bomb all over the place together. She was just like my little buddy. I took everywhere. And then after my Taylor was born, it was completely different. It was absolutely different. I did not feel like myself. I lost. I felt so disconnected from myself in a way that I never had before. And I remember I would just have these crying jags, and I was crying one day, and I remember calling my then husband and asking him if he could please come home, because I was just feeling so overwhelmed. And he didn't. I'm sure he couldn't. But also, when he came home, I was still crying. And that's when he started, he called me psycho. And to try and like ease the blow of calling me psycho, he made it into a song and sang Psycho, oh, every time I would cry, he would sing this song. And so like I would know you're being crazy, you're being psycho. So, then you start internalizing it and start feeling like a failure. And, you know, anyway, knowledge is power. And now we know about it. And now she's talking about it. And I know people talk about it now. And thank God they do. But at the time, not so much. Um, let's see what else. Meanwhile, while the girls are at the beach, the guys are over at Jax's with the kids, and they're in the pool. And then the topic of Michelle's new friend comes up. So they live over by the Chateau Marmont, which is a great place. If you've never been, if you're in LA, you should go. It really is a beautiful place. So she walks down to the chateau and she spends a lot of time there. And apparently she has become buddies with a famous director who also spends a lot of time at the chateau. And they have spent evenings together. And I was really trying to read Jax's lips to find out who the hell it is. And I'm really going to do a deep dive and see if I can find anything out, you guys. Because now I really want to know. But Jesse tried to like poo-poo it and downplay it and make it out like he was just like, no big deal. I trust my wife. Meanwhile, Kristen's dude is over there. Well, I know something. I know something. I'm holding a secret. I'm holding a secret. I can't say. And oh my God. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not gonna have to go sleuthing around because it looks like if he knows what I think he knows, then we're gonna find out sooner rather than later. A little more dirt on the director and Michelle. Um, oh, then back at the beach, the girls start playing a game of truth or dare. And Brittany, you guys, just sometimes people just say too much. And in this instance, Brittany did. Brittany recalled, and I'm about to do the same. Brittany recalled this story about how in the beginning of her relationship with Jax, the two of them went to Florida to visit his parents. They were out on the boat and there was like a school of stingrays. And basically, she had to poop, but she didn't have a place to poop. So she had to go in the water near the stingrays. I mean, so just basically shitting on stingrays in Florida. So anyway, then after that story, she goes on to talk about their sex life or lack of sex life. And she says he needs to make me feel more attractive. She says, and he puts me down a lot. Then she says, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I mean, the poor thing, she is just so fragile and just so you can tell just holding on, but just at a moment's notice ready to break. Like if someone put their arms around her, she would probably just collapse in them because poor thing, I can imagine. I cannot imagine how exhausting spiritually and emotionally it must be to live with Jax Taylor. I can't. Um, so then the girls end up getting their party on, and I mean, they got their party on, and the next morning, Brittany wakes up barfing, which, you know, seems kind of par for the course for Brittany. And for some reason, I feel like that dovetails perfectly into the personal development portion of this pod. I mean, you guys, there was a time in my life where I was doing things like waking up hung the fuck over. I had fallen headfirst down a very dark path. Um, and I luckily did not stay down that path because I had a personal awakening that turned my entire life around. And for 12 years now, I have woken up, and every day, even on the worst days, has been an absolute joy and blessing to me. So I am going to give you guys a few nuggets of knowledge for your knapsack of facts to take with you along the way so that, when things get dark for you, that you can look to these things. So go ahead and get yourself a pen and a paper because I'm giving you guys 8 ways to level up your life. All right? Because you guys, truthfully, these are keys and pillars that have, because even after you have a personal awakening, life still hits you, and it's important to know what to turn to. Back in the day when life would hit me, I would go to this. And going to this just made things worse. Now when life hits me, I go to these things, to these 8 pillars that really kind of keep me rooted and keep me grounded and keep me looking at life through the right lens, right? So let's start here. Number 1, have faith in your future, okay? You have to believe that what is coming next is going to be great. If you want it to be great, you need to look at it. You need to envision it. You need to look at your life like it's already happening. That is how you manifest more of what you want. You have to have faith in your future if you want to manifest your dreams. Number 2, always search for the silver linings. Always, even in the darkest of, especially in the darkest of hours, you have to search for those silver linings, because when things get hard, those are the little glimmers of light that light your path and keep you moving forward. Number three, stop beating up your brain. All right. It is so important to stop pummeling and expecting your brain to, you know, we think that like our brain should be able to work out matters of the heart, but that's way outside of its pay grade. That's not what the brain is there for. And then when we don't, you know, we think we're stupid, and you constantly are beating up your brain, and inside you're like, wait, but I'm so smart. How come I can't figure this out? You can't figure this out because this isn't a brain thing that you figure out. This is something that you feel out. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Are we really on 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Own your shit. You guys, life doesn't start looking up until you start leveling up. And you only start leveling up once you have the guts to really look at yourself and the part that you played in creating your current conditions. You cannot level up your life by blaming other people. Everything has to come back to you, right? So own your shit, own your mistakes, own your, you know, own the good shit you've done, own the bad shit you've done. You have to own it all because it's all a part of you. It's everything that got you to where you are right now. And if you're not owning it, you're denying it, and then you're not living in your truth. So, and living in your truth is muy importante. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop taking everything so personally. The ego likes to believe that everything, my mouth is so dry. The universe likes to believe that everything, or that the universe, that's the opposite. The ego likes to believe that everything is about them. Everything. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. If people love to take things personally, and they'll take everything personally. Doesn't matter what it is. It probably has absolutely nothing to do with them, but they'll be busy taking it personally. And when you're taking everything personally, you can't live in your light, right? Because you're just constantly paralyzed by other people's, you know, perceptions or what you believe their perception to be. So don't take anything personally, because everybody is living their life. Everyone is usually busy just trying to get by, just in the same way that you are. So there you go. That's that. Number 6, detox your inner dialogue. And I mean constantly detox it. Make it your mission. So literally, the negative thoughts creep in, like just multitudes of them constantly creeping in. You need to be constantly stripping them. It is like a job. Like when you have one, you're like, and then here's the thing, you guys, you don't just get rid of it. Then you do the work. Like ask yourself, why am I thinking that? So I'm thinking this. Why am I thinking this? Right? And really kind of dive down that. And that's how you really get to the root of the why. And that's super important. Okay, number 7, one of my absolute favorites, and something, truthfully, that changes your entire being when you do it. And that is ground yourself in gratitude. Ground yourself in gratitude every single day. Every time you remember, ground yourself in gratitude. Every time you find yourself feeling fractured or fragmented or just off, ground yourself in gratitude. Ground yourself in gratitude as much as you possibly can, because every time you do, you retrain your entire psyche, right? And you reset yourself and you realign yourself with your highest purpose, right? Because and not only do you do that, and is that good for you, but here's the selfish truth. Every time you ground yourself in gratitude, it allows you the ability to manifest more, because the universe pays great reward to the person who already appreciates what they have, right? The person who's grounded in gratitude is going to be able to manifest more than the person that is not. And that is just a straight fact. Let's see. Oh, well, you guys, number 8 is, of course, my absolute favorite. I mean, I could even really put my hat on. Number 8, my daughter had these hats made for my 50th birthday. I'm 52 now. Stay rooted in love. That is number 8, everybody. Stay rooted in love. Because when you're rooted in love, you guys, you can't go wrong. And when you're not rooted in love, then you are so easily taken over by fear. And the fact of the matter is, life comes down to love and it comes down to fear. And so if you can stay rooted in love, when those winds of doubt hit you, you might bend, but you don't break, because love bounces you right back, right? And when you root yourself, think about like something that's rooted into the ground. When you're rooted in good soil, you grow right, you grow strong. When you're rooted in shitty soil, you're you just don't, it doesn't turn out the same way. You don't grow tall and you don't grow strong, and you are not healthy. So it is so important to root yourself in love, absolutely, more than anything. And nothing in this world has been more pivotal for me than understanding that staying rooted in love and not allowing myself to be swept away in doubt and in fear and in, just things like, just competition and other people's perspectives and perceptions of me. Like none of it matters when you're rooted in love. You're aligned with your highest purpose and your highest self. And that is the purpose of us being here, is to root ourselves in love, so that then love can flow through us and we can send that love out, and then we repeat the process, right? And that is what it is. When you send love out, when your energy is love, you contaminate the world with love instead of with doubt and anger and upset. So the healthier that we are as individuals, the healthier our homes are, and then the healthier our communities are, and then that our countries are, and the healthier world that we all live in. So it is a very worthy endeavor, you guys. So we can watch all of the crazy, wild humanity that happens on reality, and we can always aim to be better, right? Because all of us humans are all at different levels of life, and there's it's a wave, and we all ride it, and it's important to stay focused on getting better and just observing where we are and why we are where we are. So anyway, that about does it, you guys, for this episode of Generally Speaking. I hope you enjoyed this time as much as I did. Do me a favor, like I said earlier, if you are watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. We're really trying to grow our community over there. If you are watching or are listening to this on any of whatever your preferred platform is, Spotify, Google, Apple Music, please make sure you give us a 5-star rating. Please give us a follow. Leave us a comment. We would love that. If you would like to follow me on socials, you can find me on TikTok at This Is Generally Speaking. You can find me on Instagram at The Jennifer Snook. And if you want to submit a question for me to answer, or if you want to collaborate, please drop me a message to my email at jennifer@jennifersnook.com. All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And until we are together again, stay rooted in love. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.